Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Hashtag Leadership, What's on Your Mind. Remember, we're a podcast to make you stop and think about your leadership journey, and we're going to add value by speaking to amazing guests with amazing stories and experts in their field. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit follow or hit subscribe on your podcast provider or on the YouTube channel. So today we have Susanna. How are you doing, Susanna? You okay?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, I'm good.
Good, excellent. So we know each other through the Institute of Directors. Quite a funny story when we met. We met on a summer's barbecue event. They absolutely threw it down, but we made the most of it and we stayed connected ever since.
Yeah.
So before I hit the timer, let us know who you are and what you do.
So I'm Susanna Lawson and I am CEO and co-founder of OneFile. OneFile is an education technology business based in the centre of Manchester, and we focus primarily on post-16 vocational training delivery such as apprenticeships. So we create the platform for our customers, which are colleges, universities and providers, to deliver apprenticeships and traineeships and funded programmes on.
Amazing. Amazing. It sounds really, we're going to dig into that because I know your story behind that is really interesting. That's the main reason we brought you on. But let's cover the questions first. So hashtag leadership, what's on your mind? What comes to your mind when you hear the umbrella term leadership?
So when I think about leadership, I think about a group of people. It could be anybody. It could be a group of friends that want to go on holiday. It could be a group of people in a business. And then the leadership part is the person that takes the responsibility or the accountability of organising that team. So if we take a simple sort of scenario of a group of people that want to go on holiday, it's normally me.
We can start thinking about that a little bit more now.
Where do we want to go? What's our budget? What are the resources that we've got? How long can we go for? We've all got families now, etc., etc. So it's understanding the boundaries that we need to work within and then executing the plan. So then making sure that we've booked the holiday, that we've got the money to pay for it, and then gathering everybody up and geeing them up to make sure we're all at the airport on time, etc., etc., and everything runs like clockwork. So that's a simple example of a group of people going on holiday, but obviously that then fits into a multinational, huge corporate business as well. So yeah, that's what I think about. It's the person that sort of steps up and sort of takes the lead and the ownership of the plan and the goal.
Awesome, excellent. I can just envision you now planning a holiday and how detailed and business-like you would do that. So staying with you, specifically you, and whether it's on reflection or whether there was a light bulb moment at the time, where do you think your leadership journey started? How far back are we going?
So I think the first time that I was sort of given a leadership position was when I was about 12 or 13 and I was nominated as captain of the netball team. I didn't know anything about leadership at the time, but I knew that I had this team and I knew we had a goal that we wanted to win the match or the matches or the league. And obviously I didn't really understand at that point that my role as captain or leader of the team would be to engage the team. It wasn't just roll up, throw the ball around and try and get it in the net. It was far more, and I kind of naturally realised that as my progression became, because the first one we just literally rocked up at the match and sort of threw the ball around and yeah, we enjoyed it. But I soon realised that actually I had to work to what the strengths, I had to understand the team's strengths and weaknesses within the team, and then I had to also look at the competition and understand who was there and where they were strong and weak, and then say to my team, look, if we can go around the side there, or whilst you're doing that, we'll go here. And also just engaging them and celebrating when we won, and somebody kept missing, just giving them a pat on the back, it's okay, next time, and encouraging them. And so I didn't really realise, obviously, that's what leadership was, but reflecting back, that was probably the first time that I was given a leadership position that I had a responsibility for.
Amazing. And again, we're going to talk about your story now, and I'm sure we can then jump forwards and backwards into where you've got those skill sets. So let's start sort of here and now. Just tell us a little bit about we were chatting before we came on about some of the things that have been recognised of your successes in the last couple of months coming into 2021, and we won't mention last year. So tell us a little bit some of your celebrations that we've had in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, just in the last couple of weeks alone. So we were awarded 2 stars with best companies. So that is a survey of all the team and all the initiatives that we put in at the business about our culture, the well-being, the reward for recognition programs, etc. And we were awarded the 2 star. So we were 1 star last year. We've achieved 2 star,
Amazing.
which means we're outstanding now. There's one above that, so we're aiming for that one in the next couple of years.
Good progression like that.
But yeah, but so from there, then the organisation looks at all the results from across the country, and then they collate them and aggregate them. And actually, we've come out in the top 100 Northwest companies to work for of any size, and nationally, we've come in the top 100 medium-sized businesses to work for, which
Amazing.
we're absolutely. So this was actually something that we'd sat down as a senior leadership team and decided about 5 or 6 years ago that we actually wanted to be ranked on one of these sort of top 100 lists. And we knew that we would have to do a lot of work on the culture of the business and work on that proactively in order to get on one of those lists. And that is a focus that we've had at OneFile, as well as obviously everything else. When we look at OneFile, I try and look at it as like a holistic business. So it can't all be about revenue and profit, but obviously that is important because we are a business. It can't all be about the team, but again, we have to focus on that as well. It can't all be about the customer. It can't all be about the community. So what we have is we have the 4 pillars of OneFile. So we have the company, colleague, customer, and community. And we focus on all 4 of those. And we find that by focusing on all 4, we bring the right people into the business with the right values and the right behaviours. And then that drops to the bottom line, and it also drops to the happiness of the customer, which again is incredibly important to us. So if we've got a happy team, it translates directly to happy customers, and that's what we want.
Amazing. Can I ask a quick, something just came up then you explained that. You would think, and I know this isn't the case, so to go towards like in a ranking system or go to an awards, I know it's far removed from an ego thing of like, look at us, we're amazing. So tell us a little bit about why that was important. I've got a suspicion that it's more to do with accountability and more to do with driving the business forward, but tell us a little bit about the thought process of why you thought that was important.
So yeah, so I think that specific ranking and awards, it was because it was voted for by the team. It was important. So it wasn't a marketing person, team writing how great we are and we do this, that, and the other, and everyone thinks we're amazing and we've seen this growth. It was actually our actual team were sent a survey, and they ranked us and they scored us, and then they gave evidence on why they believed it was the case. And I think without having that, by saying the focus was the top 100 list, there wouldn't have been the focus on it. It would have been, we just want to be a better employer. But what is the outcome? What is the target? What is the KPI on that? Well, the key result was we wanted to be on this list. So we know that we're heading in the right direction when we are on this list. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, we do focus on sort of net promoter score of our colleagues as well. So, that is a key indicator. But then also what I loved about it was it then benchmarks you against other businesses. Whereas your net promoter score, it can be, I mean, you can see what the net promoter scores are of other businesses, but actually as a 2-star company, it will say, well, your well-being initiatives are ranked maybe, I don't know, 15% higher than another 2-star business, but another part of the business is ranking slightly lower and weaker. So you're able to see that compared to other similar sized businesses, where are your strengths and weaknesses? And that to me was very important, that benchmarking.
Yeah, awesome. I knew that was the case. I just thought it was just really interesting because sometimes you think the awards are more to do with external gratification, if you like, but it doesn't. I know that because the people I know that have gone for these, I know that's the reason why, which is great to hear as well. So tell us about where you started.
Okay, so we started in our back bedroom in Burnage in Manchester. But before that, what had happened was my business partner, now husband, he'd left university having done a social anthropology degree, didn't really know what he wanted to do, but sort of, came out from university in the 90s and realised there was this, everyone was doing internet and the computing stuff. So I thought, well, I want to get into that. So, and then I'd come out of university with a psychology degree. Again, wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to work with people and help people. I ended up getting into the social care industry, so working with adults with learning disabilities. And through doing that, I discovered vocational training and apprenticeships. And I just really saw the value, because nobody had ever given me the option when I was at school of going down a vocational route. It was very much, you'll do your GCSEs, you'll do your A levels, you'll go to university, and you'll go on and have your career. But actually, I discovered this whole of the world of career progression where you can do a vocational training whilst you're employed, and you're actually learning on the job, and actually you're learning the skills that you need, because just because you have got a degree and you're academic and you can do loads of research doesn't mean that you can apply it practically. And that is why it's so important, vocational training. And I think, although I loved university, I loved the partying, I liked the going out and meeting lots of people, but I think I would have been far more suited to go down that route, for my style of learning and development. So because of that, I got into the world of apprenticeships and vocational training, and I just saw there was huge inefficiencies in the way they were being delivered on paper. So you'd have to create a great big paper-based portfolio of evidence, and you'd be driving miles to go to nursing homes, which was the job that I had, to assess stuff in nursing homes. And I just thought, well, there could be a tech solution here that would make it more engaging for the student, and also more cost efficient and better quality for the provider. And through a chance conversation with my boyfriend, now husband, Chris, where he said, well, I can build that because that's what I do, databases and websites. And we thought, a bit naively at the time, 16 years ago, let's give that a go. We didn't think too long and hard about those sort of what it would entail, but we just thought, well, yeah, we can build the product, and then we worried about selling it after the event, really.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about when, obviously there's the two of you to start off with. What stage did you start to build a team?
Oh goodness, probably a bit too late, really. It was probably 2 years in.
Okay.
We were working from home. We were literally working every hour. We were working 14, 15-hour days. If we were awake, we were working, sort of doing 90 hours a week each. We were doing everything. I'd never done sales before. I was doing the selling. I'd never done marketing before. I was doing the marketing. I was doing, the data input of the qualifications, and Chris was doing, and I was testing what he was building. He was building, doing tech support. So it's about 2 years, and then we realised enough's enough now. We've got to try and get some support here. So that's when we moved out of the back bedroom into our first offices and employed our first couple of people, really. So yeah, it was 2 years in before we actually thought about it. We just thought, oh, with hard slog, we'll crack on. But it got we couldn't do it anymore, and we were getting customers then, and we needed to get help in. So that's what we.
Yeah. Awesome. So you mentioned before we jumped on that you're roughly around 80 staff now.
80, yeah.
Regards to your leadership, at what stage did that become, let's just say the word challenging? Because obviously we know that there's a figure that's batted around regards to when you scale, when you have to really think about the culture, the environment, a lot more about giving the staff, I'm going to say free reign, but giving them empowerment to have decisions. When did that number become challenging for you, going from 0 to 80?
So I think there was a number of points in that journey where it became noticeable, but we didn't really realise it until after the event that
Yeah.
it was the growing pain. So I'd say getting to around 10
Okay.
was a hurdle. Again, we didn't recognise it, and then probably around 50
Yeah. Okay.
hurdle again. Is that the number that's battered around?
Yeah, I think they say about having a leadership responsibility for sort of it's usually around 7 to 8 people to a leader is probably a good number, and obviously when you get to the 10 to double figures, you need to really have a think about how that works as a communication, culture, environment, all that sort of thing.
And as you scale, because we've taken on many people in a year, it becomes hard unless you focus on it. It becomes quite easy to obviously you promote people that are from within, which is obviously you feel it's the right thing to do, but some of the people are technically very good at their job, but they've had no training and actually aren't very good managers.
Yeah.
And then that becomes an issue because that person is then managing 10 people, and
Yeah.
then that all of a sudden everything seems to go out the window: process, culture, behaviours, etc. So we had to sort of really pull it back again. We had to sort of let it go and then realise what was happening. And I can remember we sort of broke the 50 people, and it was horrendous for about 6 months. And I can remember just going, oh my goodness, I just want to go and work at a checkout somewhere, and and not
Back to the back bedroom.
yeah, I did. I hankered after. I said, God, when it's just the two of us, it was just us two, and it was all down to us. We didn't have to rely on anybody else. But and I really wanted a job at that point where I could just go home at 5 o'clock and switch off and not be thinking and being woken up all through the night thinking about everything that was going wrong. But we had to recognise it was going wrong to then go, right, we now need to do something about it. But what is that? And it can be very, very challenging because again, as you're scaling, the people that have supported you and been loyal to get you to a certain size, they might not want to be on that journey where you're going to scale again and double in size again. And actually they hanker back to when it was just 4 of you around a table and now there's 80 of you, you're all in separate rooms and you might not see each other from day to day. And that they're not happy in that environment either. And I think it's really important for both sides to recognise that and support each other in whatever that next stage might be for them.
Have you had any successes with, and again, that's a massive thing, and you pointed out a really clear thing that we focus on as well, that people that are really good at their jobs, but not necessarily had the exposure or the skill set to manage people and lead people, because like you said, it's completely different. Have you had any successes of taking people through that journey, internally developing them? How have you done that for having people that have gone into leadership roles?
Yeah, we definitely have. But I think it is that setting expectations. Okay, you want to go from this role to this role, but also mentoring them, it's not going to be overnight. You shouldn't just, the job roles that it should be like, well, what's your aspirations? Well, I want to get into management. Are you sure? That's the first question I ask. Why? Are you sure? Good grief. It's the hardest thing on earth, I think, to people manage. And just setting the expectations of what it's going to be like. You are going to have difficult conversations. You can't be friends in the same sense that you were friends before, because you might have to have a challenging conversation. And if you're friends with somebody, how does that work? Or you can be friends, but provided you've got that relationship where if you do have to take them aside and have a challenging conversation, it doesn't impact your friendship. And I think that would be quite rare, actually. But then also you have the issue of favoritism. So other people in the team say, oh, they're favourites, they're best friends with them, etc., etc. So, but it is that you have to be clear on what those expectations are of being a people manager, and is that person willing to undertake that? Because if they're not, if they can't have a challenging conversation, then they can't possibly be a people manager at the end of the day. And you can have a challenging conversation in a fair, open, transparent way. It's not about shouting at people and telling them off, but it's about giving evidence about what's happened and the impact of that and what needs to happen in the future. So yeah, it can be, but it needs to come from both parties. It isn't just about because a lot of people see management as a pay rise and a status. I want to be a manager. That's the next step, but it's definitely not for everybody.
Yeah, amazing, awesome. So we've only got 3 minutes left.
Oh.
I want to finish off with you focused on your development. And again, please mention about what we talked about when you were coming on about the IOD and your qualifications. But this has come up a couple of times with people that you would think are in positions where they are natural leaders. They've got all the answers. And a really good one in end of last year with Gary Ridge when he became CEO of WD-40 Company. He took himself back to university to learn about leadership. And you'd think, why would you need to do that? Because you're the business owner. So tell us a little bit about your thought process and what you've been doing to level up and keep the journey of learning yourself.
Yeah, it's incredibly important. I mean that's sort of something here at OneFile. Our vision is a world where everyone's learning for their future, and that has to be for everybody, and me included. So no, I am not a natural leader whatsoever. I don't think. I find it very challenging, and I am learning all the time. So yeah, so I've done my Institute of Directors certificate and diploma, and that's very, a lot of that is very theory based, the certificate, but then it takes it into applying that theory in the diploma. And then I'm also on a level 7 senior leadership masters via an apprenticeship, which it's really hard work, but when I have the time, I'm absolutely loving doing the research. And again, it's taking some of the practical stuff, but then looking at the academic research behind it, and and backing it up with that research, which I'm really, really enjoying. But then I'm able to apply it straight into the business. And the other thing that I really need, but I don't get a lot of, is feedback. So our people director, she gives me feedback. So she's, one of her things is to make me a better CEO. It's to, she's an occupational psychologist by that's her background. And I brought her in to support me on building the culture, but also to build me as a leader. I need her feedback to tell me, Susanna, you were in that meeting then, and the way that you behaved or what something that you did, you could have
Brilliant.
improved on that. And I don't get much of that, so I really respect that when somebody's able to tell me that. Again, as long as it's told from a position of a good place and wanting to
Yes.
value to my development, um, then absolutely you should welcome feedback from all places, and and that's what I tell all the team as well. If I do something, please expect it from me to you if you've done something, but I also expect it back to me as well.
Yeah, amazing. And just to sort of celebrate that fact of one of the reasons I was really in the early stages of what I was doing coming post-military into the corporate world, I saw the power of working with the business owner, because if we work from the top down, just the behaviors and the attitudes and your will to learn and develop has a trickle effect on the business without you even having to order anybody to do anything or tell anybody to do anything. It's just a natural progression. So amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. They always go really quickly, but a fantastic conversation. So thank you so much for your time today. Guys, if you really enjoyed that, I really like to listen to your feedback. We just mentioned feedback, but your takeaways from each and every episode that we have. Please make sure you hit follow on your podcast provider and you hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, and hit the comments. Let me know, pass it forwards. And every Wednesday at 6 a.m., we've got amazing guests sharing their stories and their expertise. So thank you so much again for your time.
You're welcome. It's been really enjoyable. I've loved it. Thank you, Stuart.
No problem at all. I can't wait to see you again at another IOD face-to-face event at some point, hopefully for some this time.
Thanks very much.
See you soon, guys. Bye.